So we will now begin discussions on displacement based methods. So all the methods that we have covered up to now, these are all force based approaches or force based methods. And in the previous session, we saw a common approach or a generalized approach for a force based methods. So let's say if this is the structure that we need to solve. Maybe we need to compute the shear force and the bending moment diagram. So in a force based approach, we first made a primary structure, and this primary structure was statically determinate. So the static indeterminacy here was 0, and from here to here we just made it by removing the prop or the roller support that was there at the point B. So when this support was removed, this becomes a statically determinate structure, and this we treated as the primary structure. And we considered in this case we can consider two different primary structures. So one where the applied loads are considered. So this is the primary structure with the applied load. So this will have, let's say, some deformation, and then there will be another one with the redundant force. So in this case the redundant force is the reaction at B, and this will have another deformed profile. And then we were invoking an additional condition in this force based approach. This was the compatibility. Right. So we were invoking this compatibility condition where we said that for the overall system, so the displacement at any coordinate. So in this case, let us say we are talking about the coordinate B. So displacement at B, this is displacement at B due to the applied loads, so which comes from the first image, plus the displacement due to the redundant forces, right, which comes from the second figure. And this displacement from the redundant forces we were writing as the flexibility matrix times R, where R was the unknown, right? And once we solved R, we were able to then calculate all the other forces or moments of the beam. Okay, so in this case the force or R, this was the main unknown. So we find the force first, and then we are able to analyze rest of the structure. Okay, so so this is a force based approach. Now if we talk about a displacement based approach, so again we will have to first make a primary structure, and the role which static indeterminacy plays for force based approach, the kinematic indeterminacy plays for the displacement based approach. So what we want for the primary structure in displacement based methods is that the kinematic indeterminacy should be 0 for the structure, right? Now here the support A is fixed, so here there is no possibility of any deformation. So horizontal vertical displacement and the rotation about the z axis, all of them are restrained. Now at point B, the horizontal movement and the rotation as of now are allowed. So basically this structure has a kinematic indeterminacy of 2. So if we want to make this kinematic indeterminacy to 0, then we have to consider this support also as a fixed support. Okay, so what it means is that the primary structure in this case is going to be a fixed beam. And one advantage in this, in fact a big advantage, is that this primary structure is not going to change depending on the main structure we have, right? So in force based method, the choice of primary structure is not unique. So for the same original structure, we can come up with many possible primary structures. But in displacement based approach, since both ends have to be fixed completely, so the primary structure becomes fixed. So now we will again consider the primary structure with the applied load. Okay, and here there will be some forces which are induced at the, let's say, joints, or in this case we are talking of, let's say, two coordinates A and B. So at both of these coordinates there will be some forces which are induced due to the applied load on this fixed structure. And in general these forces are called the fixed end moments. Okay, so just like there were displacements with respect to the applied loads in the primary structure in the force-based method, there are forces and moments in the primary structure due to the applied load, and these are called the fixed end moments. And there are tables available where these fixed end moments are available and can be used, and they can be calculated also. Now the other thing we need to consider now is that since we have fixed the joint B, in the original structure, the joint B can have some rotation. Okay, so some theta B is possible. But when we considered this to be a fixed beam, we have removed the possibility of theta B to happen. Okay, so now for the fixed structures to become equivalent to the original structure, we need to consider a possibility where we rotate, let's say, the joint at B by an angle of theta B, and this theta B is of course initially unknown, right? And we allow this type of a deformed shape, right? So then what we can say is that when we add these two by superposition, we will recover the original structure, right? So in the force-based methods, we were applying an unknown force R, which was the support reaction. In displacement-based methods, we are applying an unknown rotation or a settlement of the support, okay, which would have been for the actual structure, right? So just like this R, the unknown reaction would have been the reaction of the original structure. Okay, similarly, this theta B is the rotation which would have been at point B for the original structure. Okay, so as of now, this is of course unknown, but we consider that we apply a rotation theta B, and of course in applying this rotation theta B, there will be some moment which is also required, and this moment we can write in terms of the stiffness matrix times theta B. Okay, so just like here we were writing delta R. So delta R was the displacement in the primary structure due to redundant force, and this delta R we were writing as the flexibility matrix times capital R, which was the unknown force. Similarly, here the moment due to this applied joint rotation in the primary structure, we are writing as K times theta B, okay, where K is the stiffness of the system, and we will discuss the stiffness in detail. Okay, once we have written that, we can then write the equilibrium for point B. Okay, so if we want to write the total moment at B, right, that will have two components. One is moment at B due to the fixed end forces, right, so which comes from the first figure, plus there will be moment due to the applied theta or delta, right, which comes from the second figure, and this this one we are writing as K times theta B. Okay, so just like there was a compatibility equation for the overall system in force-based methods, there is an equilibrium equation which gives an additional condition for the displacement-based method. Okay, so the overall steps remain the same, that first we construct a kinematically determinate structure where Ki is equal to 0, and the advantage is that the choice of structure is unique in this case. Then we consider the primary structure with the applied loads, which gives us the fixed end moments, and then we allow all the fixed ends to move or rotate by the amounts that they would have actually rotated or moved in the original structure. Okay, and all of that we write in terms of this unknown force, which is what we're writing in terms of the stiffness times the rotation, and then we write the equilibrium equation for all such joints, right? So since joint B is a pin support, the actual moment at B should be equal to 0. right? So just like here in the force-based system, the vertical settlement or vertical displacement of point B should be 0. So delta B we will set to 0, and then we can find out R. Similarly, in the force-based approach, the moment at B should be 0 because that is a pin support. And once we use that equation, once we use that condition, we can find out theta B. And once we find out theta B, we can find out the other forces. Okay, so this is overall summary of the displacement based methods. Now there are two things which we need to consider. First is the fixed end moments, right? So this is basically a beam which is fixed at both ends, subject to different loading conditions. And I've shown a couple of cases here, but these are available in almost all textbooks, and these moments and forces can also be calculated. So I think we can also show the vertical reaction here, that will be P by 2 and P by 2. And in this case, it is going to be QL by 2 and QL by 2. Okay. So like this, the fixed end moments and forces are all available. They can be calculated by many methods. Then we can talk about the stiffness coefficients. So if you recall the flexibility coefficient, so Fij, for a beam which has two coordinates, let's say 1 and 2. So Fij we were saying was the displacement or rotation at coordinate I due to a unit force or moment at coordinate j. Okay, and we also were able to write Fij using the energy method in this manner. Similarly, a stiffness coefficient is defined as Kij, where Kij is the force or moment at I, coordinate I, due to a unit displacement or rotation at coordinate j. Okay, so a stiffness coefficient would have the units of displacement in general, and a stiffness coefficient is going to have the units of force or moment. Okay, so let's look at a quick example. That let's say this is a cantilever beam which is given, and there are two coordinates 1 and 2. The coordinate 1 is at the mid span and coordinate 2 as the end of the span, and we give a unit displacement at coordinate 2. Okay, so this is the given displacement. Now the force which will be required at coordinate 1 to induce this unit displacement at coordinate 2, that will be K12. Okay, so that will be the stiffness coefficient K12. And similarly, the force which will be required at coordinate 2, I think there is a mismatch in the coordinate naming. So I think this is coordinate 1 and this is coordinate 2. Okay, so the force applied at coordinate 2 to create a unit displacement at coordinate 1, that is the stiffness coefficient K12, and the force applied at coordinate 1 to create a unit displacement at coordinate 1, that is K11, the stiffness coefficient, right? And these we can easily calculate. For example, in this case we are using the moment area sort of method. So K12 and K11 can be calculated. So again, this is the nomenclature is the reverse. And now these stiffness coefficients can be related with the flexibility coefficients, right? So K12 is the force required at 2 to create a unit displacement at 1, and F21 is the displacement generated at 1 due to a unit force at 2. Okay, and it is easy to see that these are reciprocal of each other. Okay, so this fact you can verify for other cases also. Now let's look at a more elaborate example of using the stiffness or using the displacement approach. Of course, we will formalize this more when we begin learning about the slope deflection method or the moment distribution method. So let's say this is a propped cantilever beam which is given, and we want to draw the shear force and bending moment diagram. Now, as discussed earlier, the primary structure is going to be a fixed beam of this kind. Right. So first we will consider the fixed end moments or forces. So on the primary structure, we apply the external loads which were there. So in this case, it was Q, UDL, which was applied. So for this case, these are the fixed end moments that come about. So there are two moments and two forces at the supports. Okay. Then we rotate the joint B by an unknown theta B. Okay, and this theta B is the same rotation that the actual structure will have at point B. Okay, and then we try to calculate what is the moment required to generate this theta B, and that moment in terms of the theta B will give the stiffness coefficient. Okay, so we are taking this primary structure, we are saying that at the joint B, we have rotated it by an amount theta B which is not known, and to create this unknown joint rotation, there is an unknown moment which is required to be applied, right? And the case when theta B is equal to 1, this unknown moment will be equal to K11, or the stiffness coefficient, right? So what we are saying is that we take the primary structure, we apply a unit rotation at B, and then we calculate what is the required moment to do that, and that moment is going to give us K11. And it is easy to see that this beam is equivalent to the beam on the right, where we have a pin support here at point B, because the vertical and horizontal displacement are still restrained, whereas the rotation we have applied by theta B equal to 1. Okay, so now this is a statically indeterminate problem, and we can use, let's say, the force based methods to find out K11, right? Now it may appear a bit redundant at this point of time that we were using a displacement based methods, but then to find the stiffness coefficients we are using a force based method, but that is only transitory in nature. So in reality, later on we will see that all of these stiffness coefficients can be pre-calculated and kept, and they can be used in many different situations. So only because we have not yet derived all of these stiffness coefficients, in this case we will see how it is done, but later on we will see that once all the stiffness coefficients are known, things become extremely simple with respect to the displacement based methods. So this, if we want to analyze using force based methods, we will again consider the primary structure for the forced approach, right? So in this case, let's say we have removed the support at B. So there are two cases. One is with the primary structure with the applied load, let's say K11, and this causes delta 1 and theta 1 displacements and rotation at point B. And then there is the application of the redundant force, which causes delta 2 and theta 2 at B, right? And we will apply the compatibility condition, which is that delta B will be equal to 0. And in this case, we are using an energy approach. Okay, so by using the compatibility, we can calculate R in terms of K11. And then basically we want to generate a relation between theta B and K11. So theta B again can be calculated using energy approach. And once that is done, we eventually see that K11 comes out to be like this. Okay, and for theta B equal to 1, this will be the stiffness coefficient. So the stiffness coefficient comes out to 4 EI by L. Okay, which means that the moment required to generate theta B, and theta B is unknown, will be m equal to K11 times theta B. Okay, once we have achieved this, then we will write the equilibrium equation at B, right? So at the end B, there is a fixed end moment which is acting of QL square by 12, which is in the clockwise direction, and there is this unknown moment acting, which is stiffness coefficient K11 times theta B in the clockwise direction. And now since we are having to do with equilibrium of a joint, we need to define a certain sign convention, right? So the sagging and hogging convention applies to a structure, to a beam. But since now we are looking at equilibrium of a point of a joint, we will have to choose a certain sign convention. And in this case, let us say we are choosing that the counterclockwise moments are positive. So then when we write the equilibrium equation at B, we are saying that the moment at B will be equal to the fixed end moment at B plus the K11 times theta B. Okay, and since B is pin supported in the original structure, the overall MB should be equal to 0. And here theta B is the only unknown, so MFAB is known and K11 is known, right? So then we can substitute for that. So MFAB is minus QL square by 12 because it is clockwise, and then K11 is 4 EI by L, and then we have theta B. So from here we can calculate what is theta B. Okay, and once we are able to calculate theta B, then we can calculate the other support reactions and moments for the beam. Now before we begin doing that, just a quick note on the other stiffness coefficients. Okay, so in the original beam, this AB, okay, so let us say this the rotation at point B we were calling as 1, the coordinate 1, and let us say rotation at A we call coordinate 2, then the vertical movement at B we call coordinate 3, and the vertical movement at A we call a coordinate 4. Okay, so there are now 4 coordinates, so we can write 4 stiffness coefficients, right? And so basically this what we had calculated earlier, so K11 was 4 EI by L, okay, and this K13, right? So due to a unit rotation at coordinate 1, what is the force induced at coordinate 3? So that is the stiffness coefficient K13, and this we see is equal to R, the support reaction that we had calculated, and that came out to 3K11 by 2L, so that comes out to minus 6 EI by L squared. And then we can apply, let's say, the vertical force equilibrium for this beam. From there we can calculate K14 as plus 6 EI by L squared, and then we can apply moment balance and we can find out K12 as 2 EI by L. Okay, so these are the 4 stiffness coefficients which are possible for these 4 coordinates that we have considered here, and in all of them we are applying a unit displacement only at one location, which is at point B, and that is our first coordinate. Okay, so now we can talk about the overall equilibrium of the original structure. This is the original structure, right? Then we have now primary structure. So this one is the primary structure where both ends are fixed, the externally applied loads are given, and this is giving rise to the fixed end moments and forces. And the second one is where we have taken the primary structure and we have applied a theta B, which would be the theta B of the original structure, and now we have calculated also this theta B, right? And in creating this theta B, now we know that the moment required at B will be K11 times theta B, right? Moment required at A will be generated at A will be K12 times theta B. The reaction at A will be K14 times theta B, and reaction at B will be K13 times theta B, right? And this the other stiffness coefficients we have already calculated. So now we can just write the equilibrium for all the joints individually. So if we write for moment at B will be the fixed end moment at B plus K11 times theta B, right? So this comes out to be 0, which is expected because this was the original equation that we had used to calculate theta B, right? And moment at B will be 0. But we can now calculate MA, moment at A. This will be fixed end moment at A plus K12 times theta B. Now fixed end moment at A is already counterclockwise, so this comes with a positive sign, and the K12 times theta B is also coming with a positive sign, so this is moment at A. Similarly, we can calculate shear force or the vertical reaction at point B. This will be the fixed end shear force at B plus K13 times theta B, so that comes out to 3QL by 8, right? And here we have considered an upward positive sign convention. Similarly, we can calculate the force at A or the reaction at A to be 5QL by 8. So basically now we can show all the induced moments and reactions at the supports for the original structure. And once we know this, then we can draw the shear force and the bending moment diagram. Okay, so in this way we see that this displacement based methods, the displacements are the primary variable. So we first calculate the displacement. So in this case we first calculated theta b, and once we had calculated theta b, then we were able to find out the forces and the moments at other coordinate locations. Okay, so we can choose any number of coordinate that we need, and by considering appropriate stiffness coefficients, we will be able to calculate the shear force and bending moment at any location or the supports of the beam.